Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is G. Cole, and welcome to Homegrown, where I get to share with you some good music while talking to some great people. Hello world, I hope you're feeling as good as I am. I want to big up all my homegrown listeners out there and welcome all the new listeners. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do so we can keep you updated when new material is available. We will be posting new episodes bi-weekly. Please leave us a comment, we'd love to hear from you. Please check out the website homegrownwithgcole.com to listen and for all things homegrown. The podcast is now available on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and all your podcast platforms. In today's episode, we're featuring music from the brand new Change Rhythm by Andrea Roots, Soundbank Music, and Harmonix Group out of Copenhagen, Denmark, and Stockholm, Sweden. This is episode 31, and this episode is brought to you by Ultimate Beach Shades. Are you annoyed by the big tents that are so bulky you end up leaving them in the garage, or the umbrella that you have to keep chasing down the beach? Well, no more. Ultimate Beach Shades is a one-of-a-kind product. It's like a tent that is not a tent. You can get it in plain, your favorite color, or you can get your flag on it and rep your country. And here's another thing. If you're a business owner, you can advertise on it. You now have a portable advertising billboard wherever you go. You're at your kid's soccer game, you're advertising. You're at the beach, you're advertising. You're tailgating, you're advertising. If you're a tailgater, you can get the optional rear hardware package. Go to ultimatebeachshades.com or call them at 786-447-3377. Tell them G. Cole sent you. It's 786-447-3377. ultimatebeachshades.com. This is genius.
Of my mind. Hey, follow me now. Hey, watch you now. Hey, do you now? Yeah. Oh, let me tell you about a place where we love kick back. Yes, I know flicker beat and I know six drop from the table. You're round the domino table. I'm on a set. Nothing like a Friday evening at my favorite shop or the bar, but what make it be a real chill spot at the table. Yeah, the domino table. Hey, watch out up. Yes, I remember as a juvenile, them send me gun shop. It coming like a fun day up at the corner shop. Cover music a play, a man a shuffle can't pack. Yeah, Looney and domino and drop and all of that. Mommy say big chiller, I'll fi put on her pot. She tell me say for you, but me well want stop. Ya know the game look nice. Somebody on the fight. Hey, watch out. Plus you get police wisdom when the elder them a knocking. Yeah, all kind of reasoning. Police topic. Know me buy all back juice with the money in me pocket. Mama big chiller, I'll me forgot it. Come back and tell you about the place where me love kick back for me say. Police liquor beat and love six drop round the table. Yeah, round the domino table. I'm gonna say it was your favorite pastime. But I can't remember the last time me see nobody round the table. Yeah, round the domino table. Go watch on up, fight go broke round the table. Man get stabbed up, I would never sit and still a grab up. Then another time when I'm brother come on and I bad up everybody cause he's a little touchy yet him have up. So things wasn't the same again. Then war broke round the lane again. Every day with the pie. And everybody free to drive by. So what? So now the table they do some car be a shot a bus up. Shop lock up and them have to keep it close. Because the shot of them have beat road. So 6 months now since I double six pose. Yeah. But no peace card. Juvenile a play street ball. Out on the road. Domino they on the board and a man about to get on the road. Oh, that place where we love kick back and me say enough liquor beat and enough six drop round the table. Yeah, round the domino table. I'm gonna say, oh, it's so very ironic.
Yes. That one is Domino Table, and that is Agent Sasko on the Change Rhythm. This week's episode is about public relations in the reggae market. One of the most important aspects of any company, business, public figure, whichever, and one of the most important aspects of their brand is their image. It is something the great ones invest in, and something that the struggling ones oftentimes ignore. When we're pushing the brand, when we were pushing our band and contemplating trying to target the Jamaican market, I reached out to this gentleman because he was highly recommended. We never ended up pursuing the market, but if we did, we would not have done it without linking up with this gentleman right here. Today's guest is founder and CEO of Reggae Public Relations. He's a music business and public relations consultant, Mr. Ralston Barrett. Ralston, welcome, sir.
It's an honor to be here, Chico.
Give thanks, brother.
I feel very honored to be a guest on your show. I love the show a lot, you know.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. It's been a minute, brother. It's been a minute trying to get you on board, but you don't know we're busy. We got this going and so forth. But trust me, nothing before it's time.
Yeah, man.
Give thanks. Give thanks. And I'm going to hop straight into it. Ladies and gentlemen, Negril is known, now known for two things. It's known as the jewel of the Western Jamaica, the beaches, the lush greenery and all them things. The second thing is it's the home of Mr. Ralston Barrett. So we're going to get that one day. All right? So...
Chico, you're too kind.
We'll get on the one.
Okay. Yeah.
Let me go back a bit. Let's talk about your upbringing and how that led to you getting into the music business. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, I was raised by my grandmom, Muriel Barrett, and my granddad, Harold Barrett. I grew up in West End, Negril. Had no clue that I would end up in the music business when I was growing up. But, you know, as you know, Negril is famous, was famous for having like live shows seven nights a week. So, you know, I guess as I grew up as a kid in Negril, and you get attracted to the music, and eventually I started going to stage shows and other events, and one thing led to another. By at a certain age, as a teenager, I had my own sound system.
Wow.
But it really goes back to, you know, the whole upbringing, because while growing up, we attended church. Church was very much a part of our lives, and the next thing was food and music.
Right.
My grandmother had a restaurant, a very popular restaurant on the West End called Muriel's Cafe. In regards to the music now, my music was always in the house. And I have an uncle who's deceased. He died when I was like 3 years old, but I can remember him always playing records.
Right.
And the tradition was carried on by my other uncles as well. So there was always music in the house of some kind, you know. So I guess somehow I was drawn to music from a very early age without even recognizing what was, you know, developing in me. But, you know, I just love music.
Gotcha. Trust me, most seeds start being sown from a long time, so I can tell with the passion and everything, it ain't just business.
No.
You know what I mean?
For real.
Now, as far as the public relations aspect of the business, how long have you been in public relations, and where did that passion for PR come from?
Well, when I started out in the business, I started out as a manager, because when I had the sound system, even when I had the sound system, I didn't think I was in the music business. That to me was more of me having fun as a kid, you know, along with my friends. You know, it was a hobby.
Right.
But eventually, you know, all the guys in the community started to come by my place. I wanted to DJ on my sound system, and whenever we went and play out, you know, in other neighboring communities, you know, my sound system was the sound system of choice. So eventually, I mean, we were all kids, you know, like, you know, just teenagers.
Right.
There was this kid called himself Gregor Peck. Everybody, you know, said that he was the baddest DJ on the West End. At the time, we didn't even know that we were related by blood. It turned out that we were cousins, but we didn't even know that. But through the music, we link up, and he was always DJing on my sound. So somebody heard him. I wanted him to come to an event, and he told them, well, you have to speak to my manager. You have to speak to Rollo, because they call me Rollo. So he said, you have to speak to Rollo because Rollo is my manager. So when he came and told me, that told the person that I'm his manager, I was like, that sounds cool, but, you know, what does a manager do? None of us knew what a manager actually did.
Right. Trial by
but I had to
fire.
figure it out. Yeah, I had to figure it out immediately. But I like the sound of it, so instantly I became an artist manager,
Wow.
representing Gregory. Gregory Peck was the name that he was using, but I changed it to Mr. Peck because we already had a Gregory Peck in dancehall music, as you know.
Right.
He was a more established act. So next thing I know, we were going to studios in Montego Bay, Ocho Rios, just trying to get our foot, or get our feet in the door, so to speak. And at first, there was some level of disappointment because some people weren't, willing to give you advice or to even help you or do certain things. But somebody introduced us to Ed Robinson. And at the time, Ed Robinson was living in Montego Bay.
Right.
So we started going by Ed's place, Tiff Time Studios, to produce music. And excuse me, within a few short years, like 2 years plus, we're making some impact. And then more people want to work with me. So it kept going on like that, even though the artists that I worked with in the beginning, including Mr. Peck, we went our separate ways after a while. I think there's something in the business, G. Cole, and probably you've been through this. When there's a little bit of highlight or success, it makes some people get giddy. They lose focus. They don't see the real picture. So eventually, it wasn't like me even choosing not to work with these guys, but they thought they didn't need me anymore.
Right.
So when that went down, I just discovered a teenage artist by the name of Sierra Kid. She was from Montego Bay. She was the only one who said, I'm not gonna disrespect you. I'm sticking with you. So this was like this what I'm telling you took place between, let's say, late '93. I started out as a producer, artist manager, and then by '97, this is where we're at. And there's this girl. She's just a teenager. She's just a kid, probably like 14 or 15, who's been around me just for a few months. She says to me, "You can't give up. I'm not gonna diss you." And all these guys that I grew up with, guys who were related to me by blood, my friends, they turned their backs on me. And it took me less than 2 years to break her in the Jamaican marketplace. As I say, we said boss.
Right.
Within 2 years, she was traveling to the US, traveling to different parts of the Caribbean, doing shows. Doing shows with people like Sean Paul, Barrett, Simon, you name them.
Wow.
And but something went down. I don't know what it is. Still don't know what it is up to this day. She just up and disappeared, on her US visa, and that was it. So while I was there, so despondent now, man, I was like about to give up. I was thinking about becoming a cop or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how bad. That's how bad it was. I was saying, like, man, I need to get myself a job.
Right. That's a 9 to 5.
I need a 9 to 5. But I'm gonna be a cop, and I get a call from one of the most unlikely places. At the time, when I was managing Sierra Kid, I had developed a bit of an what could you say? There was like a rivalry between her and certain other popular dancehall artists who were coming up at the time. One of them was Mr. Vegas. His camp kept accusing me of manipulating the media whenever she was on the same shows with Vegas. They're saying that I manipulated the outcome of the results. Sorry, not the results, the reviews. But guess what? They respected me.
Right.
I respected my skills. So they're saying to me, Byron Murray, who was managing Vegas at the time, said to me, "Hey, come on work for us." I was like, "No." Anyways, I went to Kingston once, stopped at the guy's office. I believe me, G. Cole, after a few minutes of waiting on him, I just upped and bailed. I said, "No."
Yeah.
I don't work, because I had this mentality, like, I don't work for no one. I'm always this guy who's hustling, trying to do my own thing. Yeah. A couple of days passed by, he called me again. And next thing you know, I was working with them. And I just started working. The first official PR gig for me was working for Mr. Vegas. But how I learned PR, there's this great guy who's deceased by the name of Kerry Ralston. He was the one who taught me the fundamentals of PR. He taught me the fundamentals of PR over the phone because I wanted to hire him when I just started out, but I couldn't afford to hire him. But I kept pestering the guy, and the guy said, listen, I'm going to help you out. I'm going to teach you how to do this for yourself. Unfortunately, after speaking to him for almost a year and finally meeting the guy face to face in Kingston, a few days later, he got shot down.
Wow.
You know, it was like a robbery. But that guy, he taught me a lot.
Wow.
And that's how, you know, I developed these skills. So as you know, as time went by, you know, people like Dennis Howard would become like a mentor to me. Delroy Thompson, you know, Delroy Thompson is from Juice TV.
Right,
you know,
right.
Dennis Howard is the general manager for the RJR group of radio stations right now. And like Delroy Morrison from Dynamic Sounds. He was a distribution manager. I met some great people like Tommy Cohen.
Wow.
You know, people just give me advice. So I just got better and better at this. But everyone kept telling me all along, you're very good at marketing artists. You're very good at promoting artists. So when I started out with Vegas, that's how I started to get more jobs. Because before, I was just doing it for the people that I believed in. Nobody was paying me.
Right.
But when I went to work for Mr. Vegas in '99, I was working as a paid publicist. So I worked with Vegas. I worked with Hawkeye, Otto Zaid, Kiprich, Chico, all them guys.
Wow.
Around that point in time.
Right.
Yeah. So that's how I started out as a publicist.
It's amazing, you know, whether it's sports, life, the whole nine. Sometimes the biggest rival, the respect is so much there that you're just waiting for the opportunity to make them a teammate. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
yes.
It's amazing. Now, experience is one of the most valuable treasures in this business. You've been an artist manager, road manager, promoter, producer, and of course, you know, publicist, PR. Talk to me about how being as rounded as you are in these various aspects of the business not only gives you an edge over the competition, but is a tremendous benefit to your clients.
Well, just to add to what you've just said, I've also worked as a radio announcer. I've also worked as a journalist, writing for local tabloids and overseas publications, and I've done events. I've done several things. I'm also a stage manager. I've also produced events. The very first staging of GT's Christmas Extravaganza, I did the PR, I did the production.
Wow.
Having all that experience put me in a unique position as a publicist, where I can do a lot more for my clients than some publicists could do, because I have all these experiences, expertise, I should say. I have all these connections. I understand the business
right
a lot more than most publicists in Jamaica do. But I think it's not very much appreciated at times.
Right.
Because what you come up against is artists and artist managers who themselves don't understand the business. They have like 20 different people giving them advice who do not understand the business as well. So sometimes it's hard for them to fully appreciate what I'm bringing to the table. But every now and then I do find that one person who understands how to work with me, and I understand how to work with them.
I gotcha. It's amazing. It's amazing you mentioned that, because that is so accurate in terms of it is business, you know. And it even goes back to what we started saying at the beginning of the conversation. We have people right now going out getting educated in music. And then they come out and they have a whole bunch of people around them. A lot of them aspiring artists and so forth. But because the friends and the aspiring artists don't get the break, next thing you wake up one day and hear, so that person's the manager, that person's the PR. They know nothing about, no experience in that avenue of the business. But just because you're the homie, you know what I mean? No, that's who you put in that position to guide your career, which is the reason why many of the careers go absolutely nowhere.
Yeah, man. But let me tell you, G Code. It's frustrating to see how most Jamaican artists function right now. When I came in the business in the early to mid '90s, I think more artists were working with managers and booking agents, and they had their road managers and so on. Despite what is being said about Mr. Vegas now because of his overexposure via social media, Mr. Vegas is, or probably I should say, was one of the most professional artists, because in the camp there were there was Mr. Vegas, there was Hawkeye, there was Alazed. I kept it for a short time, I believe, or I think Chico. But these guys, Byron Murray was the manager. What Byron did was assign a road manager to Mr. Vegas to go on the road with him wherever he traveled across the world or locally. Byron took care of the business end. The road manager took care of business on the road. I was a publicist. Eventually, I started a sub as a road manager for some of these other artists, and I represented Mr. Vegas a handful of times, in Jamaica and abroad. But what I'm saying, there was a structure. There was a structure in place. The manager, road manager, he had booking agents that he worked with. This guy had his publishing secured. Everything was done properly. Up until this day, I know that's the way he functions, because I recently I did a few projects in the last 2 years. I've worked on a couple of projects with him, and he always puts together a team. So despite what people see going on social media, he has a team.
Oh, he does. He does. And
have a team.
A solid one,
but
too.
The thing is, solid because they keep him active. They keep him out there. He's making money. But what he doesn't have anymore is the manager who says the buck stops here. Because, but I still respect the guy.
Yeah. It's like Trump. It's like Donald Trump. They need somebody to control his Twitter feed.
I didn't say that. I did not say that. You did. But seriously though, most of these guys, no, they don't understand that system. They've never had a manager.
Right.
So when they get the break G-code, it's like, yo, I'm a bridge, I go do my thing, or my sister, or my brother. What experience does your sister or brother or your friend have in the music business? Zero.
Right.
And that's why we're having so many problems these days. So we need to go back to a place where we have artists working with people who understand the various roles that they're playing. You need to have a real manager. You can't have just any guy or any girl, being a booking agent or a manager. Sometimes you try to call some of these so-called representatives, and you be calling for days. Yep. And when somebody finally answers, it's like, yo, who this? What you want?
Yeah. Wow.
That's not business like.
That's crazy. And you know what though? Exactly what you said. This is like at the beginning, earlier stages of Vegas's career. That's the reason why all these years later, Vegas is still an international star, and a lot of people are not.
Most definitely. And all of the hard work happened in the first 10 years, or I should say more or less in the first 5 years.
Right.
He had a publishing deal from early out. A lot of artists have been recording for years, probably longer than Vegas, and probably don't even have their songs copyrighted.
Right. But he had his business in order.
Yeah, his business is taken care of properly, and he understands how the business of music works.
Yeah, everybody needs to learn that. A lot of guys out there run off their mouth to talk about Mr. Vegas. At the end of the day, when Vegas ready for retire, he's gonna be good. He's good.
I think that's one of the reasons why he has so much free time Be on social media and messing around.
So when if you take
I give him his props, man. And you know the thing I admire in G Code?
Yeah.
His work ethic. Don't believe because you see him shooting out off his mouth on social media and doing all this bunch of crazy stuff that he's not working. This guy works like crazy.
I had that conversation with somebody the other day, in terms of Mr. Vegas, and because here's what some people you see it depends on what you're in it for. If you're just looking for a reason to bash an artist or something to say, then you'll do that. But every time you observe Vegas and his rants, right, he ain't home. Mm-hmm. A lot of times it's a hotel room, it's on the road somewhere. So when a man talk this and talk that, pay attention, pay keen attention. Sometimes it's before a show, it's after a show and all kind of things. So ultimately, like you said, Vegas is working. He's working, man.
He could be on a plane, a train, or he's on a ship, or he's in a car or something. But he's moving. He's working. He's touring. Listen, man. This man will tour the U.S., Europe. He go to Canada, wherever. He's always on the go, and he's always making good music. It's sad though. He did one of the best gospel albums I've ever heard from a Jamaican artist. I think that came out like what? Not last year, but the year before.
The year before, yeah.
And I think because of the whole confusion surrounding him now with his image, and what he's doing on social media, people just didn't pay attention to the music. They were more interested in taking, pot shots at him and criticizing him for being a fake Christian or whatever. But the music on that gospel album is superb. I
agree. I completely agree.
He spent a lot of time working on the production. And he works with good producers, good musicians. The man is serious when it comes to that. So it goes back to why we're having this conversation.
Right.
If he's so good in terms of producing his music, and he's always working and making money, and he understands the business, what's happening to him now? Why are people comparing him to people like L.A. Lewis and, people just lampooning him all over social media? Something went wrong.
Crazy. And you know what? We're going to drop into that because I'm a big fan of Vegas, though. Let me drop one more tune for the masses. Keep it moving, keep it grooving. It is Homegrown.
Wow. I don't be this. No man, I don't be this. Them a talk about smile for me, Jamaica. Not even God, we don't do it for. Remember, we just escape Maria and Herman. All we do is increase murder. Right now we show up on the radar. Like say Jamaicans are pagan, but me can't bet you anywhere in the world we are the nicest human. So big up to the trench down heroes, and that's why all I feel you. Just need to increase more pan that. Me know it would have sweet you, Mr. Prime Minister, Jamaica's cutest leader. The people them send me to you, sir. Them have a gully for you jumping. Right now somebody need to save on ya. I know IMF and them not just China. Plus the other one them before did I save we for long, but we not really sure from what. So them have asked one. I know we this. No man. I know we this. I tell we youths them for join our movement. What happened to the brain improvement? The same old divide and conquer. The new slave master is the private sector. Right now we see it on the radar. Mining in another cockpit country. Since no love sweet Jamaica so much, then why me gonna sign off? Me nah laugh. You really mean fi tell me Jamaica people empty? Look how much of we come tell you who you be, while them a boast say you know why hear we. Yes, them teach yourself it, but your heart a love straight. The mother with the machete beat the baby is a result of who we have become now lately. No care about nothing, nah ready for nothing. Greedy for money and not invent nothing. Oh me, yes, you couldn't be. Then I want make you a walk on with your hand on your head and a ball.
Yeah, man, and that one is Queen Ifrica. The song is called Anaweedis, and it's also on the Change Rhythm. Again, we're featuring that rhythm today. On the horn right now with the man himself, Mr. Ralston Barrett, PR professional, PR consultant. If you don't have one, which you definitely need one, you need to contact Mr. Ralston Barrett immediately. Bro, when it comes to, again, we talk about Vegas only because, yeah, he's on social media a lot. So I don't know who control him thing. But what's crazy is he's become such a focus of conversation for one reason or another. And every time somebody asks me, for the most part, I kind of agree with his sentiments. And now, do I agree with how he goes about it and where it ends up? But sometimes I feel like it's coming from a pure place. And I think that's where having a proper PR person or a proper publicist will come into play in terms of, okay, I see the energy, I see where you're coming from. Now let's just channel it in the right way, the right direction. But I honestly don't think he minds because in this day and age of social media and the metrics being so controlled and necessary, I think it generates what he needs and what he wants, which is the clicks, You're not selling the comments from the people. You're selling the amount of clicks and views and likes that I'm getting on this feed.
Well, excuse me. Because I understand where, when people say that, where they're coming from. But what I'm looking at is a bigger picture. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at what's your legacy going to be like when you're gone, or when you're an old man and you're no longer making music. Mm-hmm. What are people really gonna say about you?
Right.
I'm concerned about that.
Yep.
And I'm also concerned about the way Jamaicans are. It's not just the artists. Jamaicans view social media a certain way. I think most of us here in Jamaica don't understand how to use it.
Right.
And it shows up more in the music business more than anywhere else. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Look at the stuff that Jamaicans tend to post online. It's crazy, man. Most of it is sickening.
Yeah, it's negativity.
Sorry, go ahead.
Now I said it's negativity. It's very vulgar. A lot of it is graphic and all them things, and it paints an image of us that's not. And don't get me wrong, there's crime and violence and stuff going on everywhere, negativity everywhere. But when you highlight that in this world of social media where everybody's looking on and everybody's got a camera and so forth, then it paints a picture that is not exactly accurate. But we can't deny why people look at us a certain way because that's the picture that we paint.
The whole thing goes back to ignorance, my brother. You see, okay, with the music business, I guarantee you that the vast majority of the people in the music business in Jamaica do not understand this. Mm-hmm. They don't get it. Music business is a business.
Yep.
They don't see it as a business. It's just something that they're doing. It's just a hustle. Mm-hmm. A lot of people come into the music business who aren't genuine music business people.
Right.
No, we have to move forward from the position that we're in because the music is in a stage of decline. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. When I say this out loud, a lot of people look at me like, how dare you? When I write this on Facebook, people be arguing with me all the time, but then you have people who inbox me and say, yeah, you're right. Yeah. It's true.
Yeah.
I wanted to click like or I wanted to comment, but I was afraid. No, I take on issues that a lot of people don't want to take on. Mm-hmm. Regarding the music publicly, because I love Jamaican music. I love the music business. Now, when I see an artist like Mr. Vegas doing his very best to tear himself down, because he doesn't understand that that's what he's doing.
Right.
He doesn't understand. I remember having a conversation with him when he did the This Is Dancehall album. I did the PR for that. Mm-hmm. And I said to him, listen, man, you have like over 200,000 fans on Facebook. Let's see if we can figure out how to get 10% of those fans to buy a copy of the album.
Right.
So let's say if we did that, you could sell 20,000 albums to the people who are following you on Facebook. Said he's not going to waste time to do that because they're not there for that. What they're there for is the controversy, the mix-up.
Right.
So tell me something. What made you into the artist that you are? That you could have attracted these 200,000 people? It was not controversy. It was not mix-up. Because back in the day when he was starting out, he was not the same person. He was very reticent, very shy. He didn't speak a lot. He just concentrated on making music.
Right.
And despite what people might have said about his technique in terms of his vocals, he was making hit music.
Yep.
He wasn't the most melodious artist. He's not a DJ. He's not a true singer. He's a singj. And I think he took the singj niche to a higher level than any other Jamaican artist who practiced that style.
I agree.
Of delivery and, in terms of making records. And he has lost focus of what made him a star. Now, going on social media and just ranting and carrying on, that makes you look kind of common to me.
I agree.
And when you bring yourself to that level, people feel like, hey, and say anything about him, we can do anything we want to do online with him because he's just a common guy, he's just out there doing all these crazy things like, he's not a real star. They don't see him as a star anymore.
It's amazing you mentioned that because that's why I love talking to people like yourself because I have questions, but a lot of times you address them even before I get to them, which means we're ultimately in the right place. I feel like I'm not a fan of the whole behind the scenes thing. I feel like you lose the magic that way. It's just like when they started doing BET and MTV behind the music. I never watched because or behind the film or whatever the case may be. I don't want to see the director's cut. I don't want to see none of that stuff. If I'm a Superman fan, let me see Superman fly. I don't want to see the wires that hold him up because it loses. You know what I'm saying? It loses a cinematic magic. Exactly. And it's the same thing with musicians. That's the reason why I'm not really fond of musicians and fan artists that I'm a fan of being on reality TV. Because it bridges that gap, it blurs the line, and now they're Joe Blow acting a fool down the street. Now, I thought, and people tend to, majority of people who are on social media are watching you. They're not necessarily watching you for the climb. They're watching you for the fall. And
exactly.
I've heard people mention all the time, Vegas done lost his mind ever since the whole baby mother incident. That's a personal, private thing, so I'm not even going to get into that. But I think that regardless of what trauma that situation had on him, I think he observed something right then and there, and is that controversy brings clickbait and and I was watching a documentary where they're talking about the endorphins and so forth that get released in people's brains when they get that like. You know what I mean? It's almost like alcohol. It's like whatever. And I think there's some form of addiction to it. So no matter how controversial it is and what negativity the people say in his inbox, doesn't care because at the end of the day, the views are now 15,000. But it's negative views. I mean, what's your take?
You see, he's trading fame for infamy and doesn't even know it. And he's not the only one. Others have done it. Several of them have done it. In fact, I would go as far as to say, I believe there's a direct correlation between the rise of the internet and social media and the decline of the Jamaican music industry or the decline of Jamaican record sales. Because you cannot tell me that the music stopped selling because the format was changed. I mean, there are other genres that are selling on online, via MP3 downloads. There are other genres. So why are we the most affected one? We are at a point where artists can't even sell a good single. It's just a handful of artists that probably make money online, a handful of Jamaican artists. And I think for two things. One, all of them are online that, hey, As you just said, they're just like the average Joe. So people are no longer fascinated with them. And the same thing happens because when you go to a dance in Kingston, you see all of them in the dance. You see all of them in the parties, partying like, they're not even celebrities. They're just there to party.
Yeah.
So, okay, take for example a guy like Bounty Killer in the 90s. Trust me, when people saw Bounty Killer anywhere outside of a stage show setting, you were mesmerized.
Yep.
I mean, I remember I went to Jammy's studio, and the setup at the time, the original studio, there was the recording studio and there was a dub studio. But I was going in there for the first time, and I heard behind the door, I heard somebody saying, "Lord mercy, this is a mighty Bounty Killer." And I said to myself, that's Bounty Killer behind that door. So, man, I was just a teenager, man. You gotta please all that. I opened the door. I opened the door, and the guy was facing. He was facing a top plate. But contrary to what people might think about him, he's a cool guy. He just made a sign to me to come inside and shut the door. He didn't even stop. He was spitting lyrics while he made the sign, and I was in there, I was totally mesmerized. I couldn't believe that I was seeing him in the recording booth. And when he finished, he talked to me, and I explained that I said, sorry, I know I shouldn't have come inside, but I couldn't help it. But I'm saying, this guy had such a magnetic pull.
Yeah.
If you remember going to stage shows and seeing him, when he entered the venue, there was like a massive crowd of people behind him. Most of those people weren't his entourage. Man, there's just people. There are people just want to. Those people are people who just want to follow Bounty Killer into the venue. Right. When he was leaving, the same thing. Whenever if you saw him in Asylum or Mirage or Cactus or in one of those clubs, people went crazy. Yeah. Despite the fact that he was not going to perform or anything. But you see, the moment that he started going to every party, every event, it took away some of the sheen.
The allure.
I remember. Yeah, yes. I remember me and my friends, we took a group of girls who came down for spring break from Negril. We took them from Negril to Kingston. We went to Mirage nightclub, and Beanie Man was there. And he was just there, him and his crew, low profile. Nobody even, you'd have to just go over the section of the club, like in the VIP. You have to be going there to realize that they were there. And this is like mid-90s. And when I said to one of the girls, I said, that's Beanie Man. She was like screaming. She said, we're in the same space in the club where Beanie Man is? I said, yeah. And she said, back home, you don't see the stars like that, up close like that. It's very hard.
Yeah.
I said, you want to meet him? And she was like, what? I can meet him. So, you see, now, everybody's like, you see them everywhere, you see them at the same parties, you see them at the same, it's just, I don't know what has happened. And it's like, they've lost the plot, so to speak.
Yeah, because everybody's on a different mission, and I'm a firm believer of everybody's on a different mission. And some people are on the mission of success, and some people are on the mission of hype. And I feel in this day and age, like I always say on the show, people get paid in two ways. They get paid monetarily, and they get paid in hype and likes and click. And it's sad. You know what I'm saying? It's sad. And sometimes they don't even realize that they're trading one for the other.
Yes.
But I guess that's where you come in.
Okay. Well, let me say, first of all, I'm not saying that Jamaican artists should not use social media. I'm saying they should use it in a better way. I'm saying you shouldn't be on social media 24/7 if you are a true artist who's creating music. You can't have that amount of time to be on social media every hour of the day. If you're making music, if you're writing songs and recording, and you're rehearsing for shows and you're doing shows and you're touring and whatnot, how the hell can you be on social media 24/7? And next thing, you should not be using social media when you're high or drunk.
Or vexed. It is true.
I mean, I've had personal scenarios where, you know, I was pissed at someone for something, and I went online, and when I wrote the post, just before I clicked post or share or whatever, I read the thing and I said to myself, oh no,
Yeah.
can't send that one. And I don't think the artists do that.
No.
I don't think Jackie was in the right frame of mind when he was making those videos the other day.
Well, you know what though?
Honestly.
It's and I agree completely, 100% what you're saying. I think where they fall short is people think that the use of social media, the contrary to that or the opposite to that, is not using social media. And I honestly feel like the opposite and the contrary is really misusing social media. I'm not saying you shouldn't be on social media, but if the positive is using social media, then the negative is misusing it. And a lot of them is misusing social media. Yes, that whole Jack Cure situation too. At the same time, you know what? That's the calculated business thought behind it in terms of, okay, you know, errors and mistakes and whatever the case may be. But sometimes the truth is that's who a person is. And the platform was, you know, he exposed himself. You know, a lot of times we look at a man and him sing a couple of songs in a certain way, and then he strays away from that and do something else, and we're like, man, he lost himself. When the reality of it is, what you just stumbled upon is really who he was. The rest of it is what was a facade. You know, and that's the issue with social media in terms that it can show you up and expose you, and sometimes there's no coming back from it. Because, you know, I don't know about the whole Jack Cure situation. There are certain things that he won't be able to. We're a forgiving culture, but there's certain things that you can't come back from, and I'm hoping that Vegas does not go down that road.
Well, you have to remember, you know, the court of public opinion. You know, it's very unforgiving. Yeah. And it does not forget what you did. And believe me, every time these guys, you know, go on social media and do some form of stupidness, they're taking away a little bit of their fan base. They're killing the fan base. That's what I should say. It might be slowly, but it's surely happening. And they are destroying whatever legacy they might have created. I mean, they you know, they go on Facebook with these videos. They go on YouTube and make these videos. They go on and before it was Twitter, because I remember a few years ago, my good friend Captain Barky, may his soul rest in peace. We were talking about social media, and when I said to him, "Do you have a Twitter account?" He said to me, "What you talking about? Vegas and the girl them sitting." I said, what? I said, yeah, man. I said, Vegas and the girl them always there on it, man. Tiff and the whole of them that cuss on it and Spice and one of them. I was like, get out of here. You know, so first they were having these Twitter wars, because you remember there were always like people, like different artists just going at each other, different dancehall artists on Twitter. And then they took it to Instagram. And some of it goes on Facebook, but Instagram is one of the biggest war zones for Jamaican artists.
Wow.
I mean, it doesn't help. You're not selling records that way. You're not getting the big endorsements that way. You're not getting signed to major labels that way.
Yeah.
So what good is it doing for you? You're not getting bookings that way. It's not helping your social image.
It's diminishing your value, if anything.
Yes. So how can you tell me it's cool to go online and, you know, just make these crazy videos and cuss all these dirty words and, you know, throw shade at other people? Or, you know, listen, somebody has to draw the line.
Yeah, they Americanize the thing. I think that's what it is. They watch too much cable. You see, it's been so polluted. YouTube and all them things showed the American, and I hate to use American, not as a nation, but I mean as in terms of pop culture. Their thing pretty much is, you know, it's good. What I'm saying, any exposure, any form of exposure is good exposure. But truth be told, it is not. It is not. You know, publicity is what I'm looking for.
Sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, but finish your point. then I come back in.
No, I was saying the whole concept of any publicity is good publicity. I think that's what they grasp from the pop market, the popular market, the North American market, what ships and what sells. But truth be told, is not everything. It's just like with our education system, where certain things that fly up here can't fly at Jamaica because they have other outlets up here. Here, if somebody don't graduate from college, they could go to trade school, they could be an athlete, they could be a rapper, they could be a this, they could be a, you know what I mean? In our smaller infrastructure, it's a lot less. The infrastructure is smaller, so you can't adopt every principle of the pop market and think that it's going to work for you, it being a reggae artist.
I agree with you 100%, and I add something to that. Americans get a free pass when it comes down to certain things. They're Americans. The people expect Americans to behave the way they behave.
True.
They don't expect Jamaicans to behave like Americans.
Right.
And a lot of people look to us for a higher standard of behavior, believe it or not. Because what made or who made them aware of this country called Jamaica? It was people like the great Marcus Garvey and Bob Marley.
Yep.
And people are saying, well, these guys have to be very, conscious. They must be a more intelligent if they produced a Bob Marley, Marcus Garvey, and there are other names that I could mention, but for just for the sake of time, I won't get into all our heroes who have impacted the world. But what I'm saying, people are not looking to us, are looking for us to behave like Americans. But hey, it is what it is, and unless we change it, things are gonna get a lot uglier. Where PR comes in all of this is, okay, here's a scenario. I think the artists, they should appoint a social media manager or whatever title you want to give this person, but this person must be the person who is in charge of your social media platforms. So your whole team should have an input as to what you're putting on social media. They should have a say. They should know what's going on.
Before you hit
they should know content that's been posted.
Yeah.
And approve it. No, with social media, like a double-edged sword, So no, a lot of Jamaican artists are saying they don't need PR anymore. They don't need a publicist. Some have even gone on record to say they don't need traditional media any at all. They don't need radio because social media is the new radio. Well, okay. Let me see who's gonna deal with damage control when they get themselves in trouble. Can your social media platform do your damage control? Can your social media platform strategize your marketing and your promotional campaign for your next project that's coming up? No.
Right.
It takes a living, breathing human being who understands how to do those things. But the publicist is still relevant, 100%. And what they need to do is work closer with us.
Right.
Give us the respect we deserve. Follow the input that we make.
Well, speaking of which, because something, I like focusing on the upcomers. Because it's one of those situations because even speaking of the whole social media and having somebody control them social media, them probably just like turn like my teenage daughter and set up an account. I want that. You know what I mean? Like a Kevin Durant to one of them little accounts on the corner here so I can say what I want. But focusing on the upcomers who don't know or who don't fully grasp, break down for me a bit, as briefly as you can, explain to us exactly what public relations is, as and how it relates to the public figures out there, the artists and so forth, and why it is very important to have a publicist.
Well, okay. In a nutshell, the publicist is a person who is like the bridge between you, the up-and-coming artist, or the artist, and the media. And the media disseminates the information that they get from the publicists to the wider public. It's my job to make sure that you are in the newspapers. It's my job to make sure that you're doing radio interviews, TV interviews, you're making public appearances. It's my job to help to secure airplay for you. It's my job to strategize the promotional campaign. It's my job also to help you with your social media. I'm not a social media manager, but I can guide you in terms of how to use social media, what pages to use. Because I see artists all the time using a regular Facebook profile as a Facebook page, and I said to them, no, it's not your Facebook fan page. You need a fan page. Sorry, you need a fan page. They said, what is a fan page? I said, yes, you can have a Facebook fan page. You use your correct name with your regular profile, but your artist name goes on your fan page. They don't even know these things. They don't even know about platforms like Reverb Nation or SoundCloud that deal strictly with music. They don't know about a lot of these things. So, in a nutshell, what I do, I try to sensitize my clients about these things because the music business is always evolving. It's always changing, and there are new tools, new technologies out there that you can use to help to market your music and yourself as an artist. So my role goes beyond, just getting the artist out there through the media. I'm also a teacher in a sense, because I'm teaching people how to use these new platforms, these new technologies. I'm not recognized by many in that sense, but there are a few who see that, they recognize that. So I'm always trying to show the people that I work with how to do certain things. Even when they stop working with me, they'll know what to do.
Right.
They might go to another publicist, they might not have a publicist, but they're in a better position than they were before. Take, for example, a protege. A lot of people don't know that I worked with Protege. I worked with him for probably the first 2.5 years or so of his career. When nobody knew him, I was there.
Right.
And I was providing a lot of guidance in terms of, how it was marketed and all that kind of stuff, and doing a lot of the hands-on work until he became a star.
Right.
But what I liked while working with him and his mom, they took advice, they took counseling. So it wasn't hard to work with him and to paint that public image of him and to get the people interested in working with him. Not working with him, but I mean interested in becoming a fan. Becoming his fans, because that's the job ultimately of the publicist. My job is to make you, my job is to place you in the minds and the hearts of the people. Right. My job is to give you that public appeal where people would want to become your fan.
And that he does have. That he absolutely... You can tell that the artist like Protege has come through some form of grooming. It's almost like the Motown era back when they'd have these talented artists and they'd put them through, for lack of a better word, finishing school. Yes, you could sing. Yes, you've got the talent. But now I got to teach you stage presence. I got to teach you how to handle a microphone. I got to teach you how to speak publicly, how to stand, your posture, your poise, and the whole nine. There's a lot to learn about the business and the industry that makes them sustainable. When you observe a Protege, you could tell. He's
but it helps when you have a manager who understands the business.
Yeah.
And people who are disciplined around you, because if you notice the way he functions, he's not all over the place recording for different producers. He has a team of producers. He has his band. Everything is structured. You need to have that structure. Remember when Buju Banton became a star? If you notice, what Donovan Drummond did was to put a structure around him.
Yeah.
He always go on the road with his band, and he has a team of people working with him on the road. So it goes back to structure. You have to have a team. But a publicist is a very important member of your team. If you want to get out there, you have to have a publicist. Your publicist is the one who's going to write your press releases or your articles and send them off to the newspapers, highlighting whatever you're doing. Your publicist is the one who's going to convince that TV producer who doesn't think you should be on his show because nobody knows you, to give you a shot so you can get on his show and more people will recognize you after you've done an interview on that particular show, whichever show it is. Your publicist is the one who's going to give you lessons in terms of how, about how to do interviews, how to conduct yourself when dealing with the media, how to conduct yourself when dealing with your fans.
Right. I love it.
And we're the ones who answer the phones at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. when something went wrong and you need damage control.
Right.
Things can happen. Okay, it's not, in a nutshell, stop me if I'm rambling on too much.
No, man, go ahead. The knowledge is important. Trust me. I'll let you go because they need to hear it. They definitely
Okay. A publicist controls or should control the flow of information because you could overexpose an artist.
Right.
And you could also underexpose an artist. There are times when you want certain information to go out there. And there are times when you want certain information to stay in-house.
Right.
And you don't want it in the media. That is what I refer to when I say damage control.
Right.
Or something is out there already, we have to put a certain spin on it. The script, so to speak, change the story around. Right. It will be better for the client. It will show the client in a positive light.
So you let the world see what they need to see and not see what they don't need to see.
Exactly.
I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the information that we want to get through to you. We got so much more coming with Mr. Ralston Barrett. Don't go anywhere. Keep it moving. Keep it grooving. It is Homegrown.
Someone try to help me figure out. Too many people suffering and have to do without. The system tries so hard to stop the youth from showing out. It's a cold world, but this fire never going out. Many innocent fall victim to your tricks. Plan to rule the world and kill the people in the mix. Another protest till the problem don't fix. Go and take your knee, call it Kaepernick. That's why me say, who feels it now? Man tired, take the blows. Jaja is my every load. But I know so it go. Who feels it knows? Man tired, take the blows. This is not the life we chose. Just know. Well, listen, school teachers getting laid off. The education system fail. The budget is way off. Single hard-working parents can't get a day off. Finally get a college degree, still it no pay off. Government a build bombs and test nuclear. Police brutality shows how much you care. Long as there's life, Rasta man don't fear. Still I man never sell out, big bill no career. Who feels it knows? Man tired, take the blows. Jaja is my every load. But I know so it go. Who feels it knows? Man tired, take the blows. This is not the life we chose. Just know.
This a message in the bottle, hope you listen up. Hope you thankful for your blessings when he woke you up. Pure blessings come after these old lessons. That God, I miss Bria, that God, I miss Dallas. There's a war going on outside, we hide the kids low. Granny got AK holes all in the windows. She hate the violence but love the youths, too much to give up. They daddy gone, his daddy gone, my daddy Devo. It's only right he played the role for them too. Went to school with us too, shared their clothes with us too. Things change, time pass and we still remain cool. And I really miss a lot of them dudes, reminiscing on my days in the Ville, my days in the Bay. Hope they free all of the real ones who in jail innocent. Take the time to watch your life, hope you ready for it. Just roll a plane of that sticky, get your medi on. Yeah.
Who feels it knows? Man tired, take the blows. Jaja ease my heavy load.
Yeah, man, and that one is Pressure Bus Pipe featuring Perico, and the song's called Who Feels It Knows. We're on the line right now with Ralston Barrett, and the information is invaluable. So I hope everybody that's tuning in right now will, definitely check you out. And when I'm through, I'm going to put your information in the show notes if you want me to, so they can reach out to you. Only for professional reasons, of course. Exposure and experience is a heck of a thing. I grew up with my mom being a manager in the hotel industry in Ocho Rios, and I knew the night manager, I knew the food and beverage manager, I knew the public relations manager, and so forth. So I saw what they did, and I saw the purpose that they served, the necessity of them all. When people aren't around structure, like you mentioned earlier, and organization, they don't see the importance of structure and organization. A lot of times our people, because we have that aggressive nature, we get the brand as though, them just a tech talk and them just defiant and whatever. When truth be told, some of it is just ignorance. How much of it do you really think is calculatedly going on the wrong path, or it's just lack of knowledge?
I think a lot of it is lack of knowledge, and some of it comes down to ego. Mm-hmm. Look at our scenario. We're a nation that was once a colony. Our ancestors were slaves. Mm-hmm. You look at the way the larger portion of the society operates. A lot of broken homes, a lot of situations where there are no fathers in the household. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what I'm getting at is a lot of us, we don't respect authority, or we don't respect guidance. It's like, when I take chat for nobody, right. I don't want nobody to talk to me. That mentality, mm-hmm. it comes across in almost every area of life and business in Jamaica. You will find people like that. I've not only been in the music business, but I've operated restaurants and, gift shops and record shops and stuff like that. I've done so many things. Entrepreneur. What I've come across is like we would have like a good chef. I remember having a very good chef in one of my restaurants, and you just couldn't talk to him. You couldn't tell him if he did something wrong. You could not say anything to him, right? Because he's a chef and he doesn't take talk from anyone. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You see that with the artists. You see that with the producers. You see that with, you see it everywhere. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I wonder. I think I see it in my daughter, who's gonna be 2 next month. She'd be like. She'd be like standing and looking at me when I say something to her. The other day I said something to her and she says, "Daddy, mad." And she just ran off and she said, "Daddy, mad." I'm like saying, where did she get this from? So I'm beginning to wonder if it's something that's in our genes. But we as Jamaican people, we don't want nobody to tell us what to do.
Right. Simple not taking no talk.
No, she's not taking any talk. She'd be like, "Daddy, mad." But I'm saying like, so this is a part of a thing that's so ingrained in our culture. Right. So we need to get to the point now where we have to take some talk when it's necessary. We have to be willing to let go at times, because sometimes you're holding on to your point of view and it's not taking you anywhere. You need to see what the other person is trying to show you. Right. That's where the guidance and the structure comes in. I won't. I don't know if I should, because I keep calling names, but okay, who cares? Right. Cargo, for example.
Oh, Lord.
When he started out, was working with a very serious manager. I was his publicist. And that manager had had a so tight reins. Sometimes he would be like, man, the man's so serious, boy. I tell you, But you know what? He kept cargo in line. Right. And I kept telling him, I said, he knows what he's doing and he wants the best for you. So just work with it. Right. He left that management, went on to another camp. We saw what happened there. He wanted to be, let's say, the top dog in the camp. It couldn't work. I'm referring to. He wanted to be, sorry about that, I was getting another call. He wanted to be the top dog in the camp. I'm referring to Down Sound Records. That couldn't work, so he left Down Sound. Since Sorry, G Cole. I keep getting a call.
No worries.
Since he's been at Down Sound, since he left Down Sound and he's been on his own, we've seen where his career has spiraled out of control. You know, so when they don't have the structure, that's what happens. Right. You need to have a manager. You need to have a structure in place. Now we see where he was working with Flavor McGregor the other day, and that didn't work out. Right. Now on social media cussing Flavor every day, and Flavor is firing back shots at him.
Yeah. The thing with situations like those is, again, because of the whole concept of everybody being free flowing on social media. Sometimes the artists do have a point, Sometimes they are right, but they've so, deeply damaged the brand, the integrity, that every time they come on social media, it's just okay. Here goes this fool ranting again. You know what I mean? And that's what a lot of them are suffering from right now. Now, as far as from a PR standpoint, even the successful and seemingly smart artists over the years seem to make that PR fumble. But that's where the professionals like yourself come in and guide them, because you're guiding out of knowledge and not emotion. As a PR professional, are you always on call for your clients?
Well, more or less. I try to be as available as possible. My lifestyle has changed somewhat over the years. I'm now a single parent. I'm raising my daughter, so I spend a lot of time, with her, because you know what parenting is like.
Yes.
But I am more or less available to my clients, like until I turn off the phone at night.
Right.
Or I shut down my iPod. So I would say, as a PR person, I work from I don't have day offs. I work on a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, go straight back to Sunday. I'm working. I get up sometimes like at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm getting phone calls. I'm getting phone calls from clients. I'm getting phone calls from prospective clients. My email inbox is flooded. I'm getting calls from media personalities, from radio producers, TV producers, So, and given the fact that we have WhatsApp now and Facebook, you can make Facebook calls, So I'm inundated with people trying to reach me every day for whatever reason. Like I'm doing this interview with you now, and somebody else is calling me on Facebook. Right. So, and I represent people. I've worked with people from Africa, Canada, the US, Europe, people from different countries in the Caribbean. I work with people from all over. Yeah, and as a publicist, you basically, your business thrives on recommendations. So I get a job working with a guy in South Africa. I never met the guy before, but somebody told him about me, and he's been using my services on and off for more or less the last 5 to 6 years.
Wow.
I ended up working with someone in Nairobi, in Kenya. That's the same, So you have to be available because you never know who's calling at times, and you never know what the call is going to be about. And I've gotten some mind blowing calls,
Right.
especially in the early stages of my career. I mean, I can remember being on what do you call that thing? I don't remember. I don't know if I'm using the correct name, but like a stretcher. They're pushing me into the hospital.
Oh wow, on a gurney.
Yes, a gurney. And I got a call from Richard Spice.
Wow.
He wanted me to be his publicist, and I was like, okay, well, all right. Tell you what, I'm interested. They're wheeling me in right now because I'm gonna have to do a surgery. But I'll call you when I get out of the hospital.
Right.
And hey, if I have not gotten a call, if I hadn't answered the call, who knows, the job might have gone on to someone else. And I ended up working with Richard Spice for a number of years. And all his brothers who do music,
Wow.
Spanner, Banner, Snatcher, Pliers, I mean, that's the way it works. And people recommend you. I got recommended to work with Egyptian when he had the big song, Hold You.
Right.
So I did a PR for that project and the album that came out afterwards. So if you're a publicist, remember, you're in the information business. You gotta answer your phone. And you have to be up on your communication technology.
Right.
I use everything. I use Skype. I use what they call it, Gmail chat or Hangouts. I think it's Hangouts now. I use everything in my business to generate business and to deal with my clients' business.
Right.
Because people link me from Australia. People link me from wherever. At times I'm invited to do interviews. At times I'm invited to be like a guest on some of these shows, giving them information about what's happening on the entertainment scene in Jamaica. So it's been like that, man. You have to be up there. You have to check your messages all the time.
Right.
Whether it was MySpace before Facebook, now it's Facebook. So you always have to be on top of your game. You're in the information business. It's not just entertainment.
You gotta. And the thing is, I've always found it funny because, especially in professional sports, for example, how does a coach get a player to listen to them when the player makes 10 times the money the coach does, and probably is deemed more valuable to the franchise than they are? Now, in your line of work, oftentimes the artist team is who would hire the PR professional. But how difficult do you find it to get an artist who, like we mentioned earlier, the ego is out the roof, but it's also essential to them being a good artist. How do you get an artist to buy into the public relations professional?
I try to cultivate a one-on-one relationship with the artist. Sometimes it's hard because some of these managers, I've worked with managers who don't want you to speak to the artist. I don't know why. And especially if it's a female artist, I'll give you a couple scenarios real quickly. I remember just before I got married, I met up with a prospective client. It was a manager who came. He met me at one of these hotels in Kingston. I was staying at the hotel, and we were sitting in the lobby, and he showed me the girl, the artist, and he says, yeah, it's my girl, it's my artist, but it's my girl. So I said, okay, cool. I said, well, I'm just letting you know that, because, I was, they told me about you. So I said, what? I said, what do you mean they told you about me? I said, listen, I'm getting married in a few days. I just came into town today to go buy Ramesh to fit my suit. And I just went and picked up the rings and whatever. My wife to be is upstairs. Sweet. So what are you talking about? Anyways, I just didn't pay him any mind. I talked to the guy, we worked out everything. He paid me and he went. And about the third month, into our working relationship, I was speaking to the artist one morning because I was giving her some tips about performances and stuff. And The next thing I knew, I heard him on the phone. Mm-hmm. He was saying like, "Why are you calling her every morning?"
Wow.
I said, well, I'm not calling her every morning, but when I do call her, I'm calling her about her career. I'm giving her tips on what to do and what not to do whenever she's on stage or whenever she's doing interviews. Mm-hmm. And he was like so controlling. Eventually, the artist split. And I remember working with another Jamaican male artist manager from, let's just say they were based in North America. I won't say where. Mm-hmm. And he told me from the get-go, he doesn't want anyone to speak to the artist. They have to go through him. So if I was scheduling an interview, I would have to tell UG Cole that you have to speak to him first, or you have to call the artist on his phone, and then he would answer and then put her on.
Wow.
That made it very uncomfortable for a lot of the people who would do interviews with her. So sometimes you see that where there's a male-female scenario, and then some of the managers, I don't know if they're just insecure in general. They don't want you to have any direct relationship with the artist. I remember working with a very big DJ, a very big dancehall artist. Mm-hmm. It was like late 90s. He went to Sting and decimated everybody on here. It was the hottest artist. Mm-hmm. And while working with him and his team, his manager, whenever he did, like, and he would get involved in the radio interviews, and he would big up everybody else in the team, and he would refer to his girlfriend as the publicist for the artist.
Wow.
Not me.
Right.
Not me. I said to him, I'm the one who's doing the work. Why do you keep saying your girlfriend is a manager? And he couldn't explain. Wow. So it's a mixed bag, you know. I think sometimes they're intimidated by the publicists for whatever reasons. I think
I can see that. I can definitely see that.
Yeah, when a manager sees that you're more knowledgeable than they are, they will feel threatened.
Absolutely.
I remember working with a camp where the manager would just throw his hands in the air whenever there was a problem with the artist, and he would say, they only listen to you. So I need you to go and tell them what to do, because when I tell them, they don't do it, but they listen to you. But the thing about it is, artists who work closely with me develop a certain level of respect for me, because one, they see that I'm passionate about the work that I'm doing with them, and I care. Right. And I know what I'm doing.
Right.
And those are the people who get the most out of me.
But that's how it's supposed to be. I mean, it's more than anything else about the relationship. And like you said, a lot of times these managers, they're trying to make sure that you don't develop a relationship, because if you have a relationship directly with these people and these people have direct access to the information you have, then it kind of undervalues them, and rightfully so. If you know they're worried about losing their jobs. But you know what? There's some other questions I got to get into with you. Hang on 1 second. Keep it moving. Keep it grooving. It is Homegrown.
Ain't no shame in telling you I love you, girl. The love you had brought, I don't want to stop. You're my everything. Won't be giving up. Your kisses and touches, more than good enough for me. Let me be the one you hugging every night, taking off your clothes, squeezing you so tight. Close the window, girl, put out the light. This is what I wanted. My love is like the lilies in the valley, covering you oh so lovely. Who don't wanna lose you, my dear? I love you, you know I care. And the flowers represents our beauty, bound with love and harmony. We're so much your love is the season, girl. I love and respect you for who you are, and I expect you to be the same, no matter far. This is our truth, no running away. Accept what it is. Despite all the rumors, we still gotta live. the lilies in the valley, covering you out so lovely. Who don't wanna lose you, my dear? I love you, you know I care. And the flowers represent our beauty, bound with love and harmony.
Yeah, man, that one is Sizzla Kalonji, and that song is called Lily in the Valley. Again, this is the Change Rhythm that we're featuring right now. Question for you, because another thing I always think about as a PR person is this. I know whenever I have to deal with my staff, there are just certain things that drive me nuts. As a PR person, who, and again, not in just reggae, but who in the industry, from your observation, would make you literally pull your hair out if you had to work with that person? Not someone, not potential, huh?
At this point in time,
Yeah.
when you say pull my hair out, what do you mean?
Frustrate the crap out of you. It doesn't mean that you wouldn't get the job done and you wouldn't do what you got to do, but just be like, man, and then you gotta get to it. And again, it doesn't have to be reggae, but just who is it that you just, as you observe their daily stuff, you're like, God, damn.
I'm gonna plead the fifth. How many people are gonna be upset with me if I answer that question?
Well, you know what?
It's a very long list.
In the same vein, who in the industry can you tell right now is benefiting from some excellent PR?
There's some people out there who, okay. First of all, like Sean Paul, Shaggy, I see Bounty Killer getting some good PR right now. I suspect that he's getting professional help, PR wise. Mm-hmm. I doubt that he had it before or for a very long time, because I see a difference, in terms of what's coming out in the media for Bounty Killer right now, the way it's been dealt with. So I admire that a lot. There are people like Agent Sasko, Spice, people like Etana, people like Tifa, and I'm just referring to big name acts. They're lesser known artists, people like Tom Lang, for example, mm-hmm. A Furious, and there are others.
Etana's had blunders. Etana's had some blunders where somebody should have taken away the phone.
Well, she has had some blunders recently, but prior to that, I didn't see much problem for her. She has had some blunders recently. Mm-hmm. Protege's PR is good. Yeah. I don't think he gets as much media as he's supposed to get, because when he had that Blood Money song. Mm-hmm. I think that more attention should have been given to that song. To me, that song is like one of those songs that should have become a major hit that did not, because it lacked proper PR. The PR aspect of it was missing. You were hearing it on the radio, but the PR, to me, in my opinion, wasn't strong enough. Junior Gunn has good PR as well. But I mean, he's a Mardi, and so it's hard for him to have bad PR. If he's a smart guy, he understands the music biz.
Right.
Right. Yeah, there are others. There are others out there,
Right.
But if you ask me who would let me take my hair out, I won't answer that.
It's a longer list. That list is very much longer.
It's a longer list.
I got you.
It's a longer list. Trust me.
I got you.
Some of who I would refer to are people that I've worked with in the past.
Right.
So it's some artists are just a little bit more difficult to deal with because, just the personality, or probably they don't understand what PR is. Like recently, mm-hmm. I wrote a press release for an artist. I gave it to the manager, mm-hmm. and he was complaining. So I said, "What exactly do you want?" He says he has something he's got to send and show me. What he sent to me was a bio. Somebody's bio that he happened to see somewhere online or whatever. It wasn't even written properly. So I said, that's a bio. I said, I'll write one. I'll write one of those too. But I said, what I'm writing now is to go in the newspapers.
Right.
So when we settled down and everything, and we got the press release published, he said to me, "Oh, you couldn't get the buyer into the paper." I said, "No, that's not how it works, man. They don't." Yeah, he didn't even know what the buyer is supposed to be used for.
And that's a manager?
Yeah, you see that all the time. You say to the manager or the artist manager or whoever is around the artist, does the artist have a biography? Yes. And they give you something that's two sentences long. Here in a paragraph.
Wow.
And people don't want to give you adequate information to create a proper biography. They don't want to tell you where they were born, or what year, or where they grew up, or the schools they attended. They don't want to put their correct names in the thing. It's like pulling teeth sometimes.
Right. Not knowing that that's what's necessary, because in this day and age, especially in 2018, where the line's been so blurred, people are not necessarily buying the music per se. They're buying a piece of you. So if you can, not just the fans either. I'm talking about from the promoters to the labels and so forth. They're buying the story. They're buying where you're from, what you've been through up until now, who you are, versus just a song. Because truth be told, if it's just a song, they won't find it somewhere for free.
Yes, yeah, that's true. No, that you've said that, and we just had a little discussion there. No, I tell you, who would let me pull my hair out? It's not any specific one person, because I'm not really intimidated, by anyone per se. And I would work with not every Jamaican artist, but almost a majority of them if I'm called upon. But the artists that would let me pull my hair out, like this is the avatar of that artist. One who is arrogant and ignorant to the point where they are not willing to accept guidance. They're not willing to work with me like a team, like a hand and glove situation where we work together as a team and promote them. That's the kind of person that would let me pull my hair out.
Right. I got you. And I can see, I mean, I've had to do the marketing and stuff like that and the merchandising and branding for my band. And again, just dealing with people. I don't know if I could do PR because, like you mentioned, you're dealing with an artist and you're trying to establish, you're trying to grow, you're trying to do everything that's beneficial to that artist. But then the barrier in the middle can be such a problem, which is then maybe the manager / cousin / cook, you know what I mean? Which that's what. So I don't know if I could do it, but if you could drop some jewels, some advice right now for our artists right now. Give us one thing that artists are doing right now. And we've probably covered this before, but we'll go specifically this time. What's one thing that artists are doing right now that they need to stop, like, now?
Stop disrespecting people, full stop. Whether you're going online and disrespecting other artists or other music industry personnel, or you're disrespecting, just people out there in the general public, stop being disrespectful. Don't disrespect people. Don't disrespect promoters. Don't disrespect radio announcers. Don't disrespect people. Full stop.
Right. You don't know what bridge you're burning.
Exactly.
You don't know. The man who did this today as the radio promoter, based on how the industry works, the radio person or the show promoter, next thing you know, you're going to a label to try to get a contract, and that's him. So you never know. And in the same breath, give me one thing that they're not doing that they need to get on right now.
That one thing to me is reading.
Oh, Lord.
Read a lot. Read about the industry that you're in. Read about other successful artists. Read about the Michael Jacksons of the world, Bruce Springsteens. Read about people like Quincy Jones. Read about Jay-Z. Read about 50 Cent. And there are so many others. Miles Davis.
Studied great
I could
ones.
go on and on. Yeah, man. There's so many great artists that you need to read about their experiences, how they became great.
Right.
And if you don't have time to read, get an Audible account and listen to books. Get on and listen to podcasts. Go on YouTube and watch videos that you can learn. Because there's a wide world out there, not just Kingston, Jamaica. The world is bigger than that, and you need to be prepared to deal with this music industry in a way where you can deal with it on an international level.
Right. Educate yourself.
Yes. Yeah. Educate yourself. Find out what intellectual property rights is all about. Publishing, copyright. Learn about these things.
Right.
Learn about media relations. So it all goes back to one word: education. Educate yourself. I see too many people fumbling around. They've been in the business for ages and they don't know what a publisher does or who is a publisher. They think that a publicist is a publisher. Right.
I'm glad you stated that to them, because again, I think that's one of the major things that's creating the crisis in the industry right about now, is just a lack of education. And this is not 1978 where the information was not at your fingertips. So we shouldn't be suffering from that. I can empathize with somebody from way back who, had some hurdles because of the fact that they didn't understand and they didn't have access to the information. But like I was mentioning, I had an episode of the show the other day where somebody from overseas mentioned, and it's a passionate fan, they were saying, hey, I'm not a big fan of people covering people's music and so forth and not giving them the credit and blah, blah, blah. And I was telling her, well, you know something? I love it, because what happened, I'm not talking about the lack of credit, but covering the music, it's great because, something, if your ducks are in a row and your paperwork is in the correct order, you will benefit from it, and you'll benefit from it immensely, probably more than you did from the version you did. The issue there is, if your paperwork was not in line and in order, you weren't making money from it even when you were singing it. So it don't even really matter at this point in time.
Okay. Let me add something to that. As I said before, the music business is constantly changing. What they have to understand, the music business, most of the business side, when it comes to record sales, is taking place online. There are certain streaming rights that an artist can make money from.
Right.
But most of these artists, they have nothing in place.
Right.
So they cannot get any form of publishing royalties or any mechanical royalties or synchronization rights. They can't get anything. Digital rights, there's nothing in place. There's no paperwork that proves that they are the copyright holders of the works that they're putting out.
Right.
Nothing.
Amazingly enough, what I'm going to do is this. Because if I'm an artist and I'm looking for a PR person, I'm looking for somebody like you, not just because of the PR part of it, because there's a lot more you can get. It's no different. It's like having a lawyer who knows who does accounting and does a whole bunch of other things, because they can keep an eye out for everything. I'm going to drop one more tune right here, and then I'm going to come back. I'm going to have you drop your social media and your contact info so the masses who need to get back to you can get to you. Keep it moving, keep it grooving. It is Homegrown.
Tupac was improving spiritually, yeah. And Tupac was about economics. It don't make sense if you can't make $1 when you hustle. Waste a time thing. That don't make sense if you push and can't increase your muscle. Sadness it bring. It don't make sense if you not make a profit when you hustle. Waste a time thing. That don't make sense if you live but can't stay out of trouble. Gunshot will ring. Early you wake at 4 4 a.m. to grab the knife and potato. To meet the sunrise at 6 a.m. fi cut some yams and tomato. Bust some coconut fi make milk. Fingers cut up from the grater. All that work that you put in fi not have no money later. You must be mad, my youth. Mathematics a basic subject in school. Say have something new. Then if a rice can't make it dub, I tell stew. Cause when the rent it due, woman them want the funds fi come true. No make a face get blue. A real man have to show and prove. It no make sense if you not make a dollar when you hustle. Waste a time thing. That no make sense if you push and can't increase your muscle. Sadness it bring. It no make sense if you not make a profit when you hustle. Waste a time thing. That no make sense if you live but can't stay out of trouble. Gunshot will ring. Enemies around the corner, I wait for him step. Now gangsta want kick him with them in step. The money where him spend belong to Mildred. Broken the lady place, him and him three friend. What happened to them? Go look at work, lazy fellow. Before you feel the wrath of red, green and yellow. Before you see the Glock and bullet tell you hello. Before you start ball when the matic start.
Yes, and that one is Profit When You Hustle. The artist is called Nayora, and again, this is the Change Rhythm. We're here talking again with Mr. Ralston Barrett. He is the PR person that you need to get in contact with. He is the founder and CEO of Reggae Public Relations and a musical business and public relation consultant and so much more. And by the sounds of things, chef, restaurateur, security, promoter. As a matter of fact, I go up on iTunes and see if I see a Ralston album because I would not be surprised.
Hey, I'm not a chef by any stretch of the imagination, but I tried. You know, I thought it happened a few years ago when I had my recording studio in Nigeria. A young lady came there to put down some tracks. And she kept looking at me. She was saying, like, I think I know you from somewhere. I said, you look familiar, but I don't think I know you. And, you know, she was in the middle of recording and then she burst out, no, remember. And I said, what? And she said, like, the best fried chicken I ever ate. you I said, me? I said, yes. It takes me back to a time when we had a little restaurant and the chef disappeared and, you know, it just happened that I was cooking that week when she stopped by.
Well, you know something? Are you at the tour manager? I need to have one tour then because just in case.
Hey, I'll tell you what, man. I have to give full credit for the people who raised me. My grandmother, Mrs. Muriel Barrett, she taught me a lot of lessons about life, and she said, you know, you have to be prepared to do what you have to do when the time comes for it. So she taught me a little bit of everything in terms of how to keep house, right. You know, wash, cook, clean, you know, iron your own clothes and all that kind of stuff. And she was teaching me certain big fundamentals at the same time because I grew up, you know, literally selling in the shop because she had a shop before she had the restaurant, and I was there right through. So I learned a lot from her, and my granddad, Mr. Harold Barrett, taught me about self-reliance. He was a farmer, and he got an opportunity to go away to England in the early days. I think he would have been one of those people. You know, I'm not sure if it was, you know, like the Windrush generations. I think so. But he didn't stay. His other brothers and some of his sisters, they stayed. He came back, continued farming. Somehow he got a job to work at the Nigger Lighthouse, and he worked and, you know, went all the way up to the top, you know, becoming the superintendent of the lighthouse for many, many years. And he worked up to the point, you know, where he reached retirement age, and he came back home, you know, and basically sort of like, you know, went back into farming, like semi way, you know, because by then things were changing in Negril. You know, Negril was now like a full-fledged tourist resort, and he had a house that he would rent out. Hippies would stay there, and they would stay on the lawn with their tents and that kind of stuff. And he just taught me a lot about the importance. Sorry, go ahead.
Sounds like entrepreneurship lessons in there too.
Yes, that too. And he said to me one day, he said, "Boy, I buy all of this land before we reach 25, And I never borrowed $1 from a man. I never borrowed $1. I just work, and save. And so I learned certain things from him and my grandmom, and a little bit of my uncles and my one aunt who lives in Atlanta. They all rubbed off on me somehow. So and everything that I learned helped to prepare me to be the person that I am and to be able to serve others, because that was something I learned, especially from my grandma. She was always willing to cook for people, no matter what time they showed up in her restaurant. The restaurant would be closed, and she would come back out and open the place and cook for people.
Wow. The
So,
lessons.
so I learned a lot, just growing up with these wonderful people who raised me. So that, so
Love it.
I'm flexible.
I love it. Big up grandma, big up grandpa, and all those people that are doing it and doing it well, because again, you don't know who's watching. You know what I mean? You don't know who's learning, and you're creating tomorrow by what you're doing today. So gotta big them up. I can tell you this: a ton of people are going to benefit from the info that you've shared today. And I'm going to go ahead and put the contact information in the show notes, though, so people can reach out to you. People, if you look for a domino partner, don't reach out, all right? If you look for somebody for kick football, don't reach out. But if you want a PR consultant, then I'll put the information there. You reach out to them. Bro, just because people have a tendency to do them something, just reach out to you for no reason. But it happens.
You got me on, man, because I play domino like 4 or 5 times per week.
See there? Don't call the man for no domino partner. He's got enough. All right? And what I'm going to do is, on behalf of the Homegrown listeners and myself, I want to definitely thank you for sharing not just your time, but your expertise. All right? I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. Drop your social media info and the contact information that they can reach out to you.
All right. I want to thank you for having me, and thanks to the fans. And I'm really honored to be on the show. And I'll tell you something, G. Cole, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of what you're doing with your show.
Appreciate it, man.
I'm happy to see a Jamaican in the podcasting space who's, doing the thing and really doing it on a great level. So I have mad respect for you. I'm working on a book that I'm hoping to put out by the end of the year. It will be my first book. The Rise and Fall of Jamaican Music.
Wow.
It's gonna be controversial, but it's gonna be very educational as well. So people can look out for that. You want to find me on social media? Just use my name. It's Ralston Barrett for Facebook, Ralston Barrett for Twitter, Ralston Barrett for IG. Everything is Ralston Barrett. Like I always tell people when they hook me up on the phone, just Google me. There's information about me out there all over.
Okay. Any phone number you want to drop for them, or you rather keep it online?
No problem. 298-6613. Oh, that's 876-298-6613. 876-524-6652.
Okay.
Yeah, man. People can contact me, whether online or on telephone. No problem. And I want to thank you for this opportunity, because I see it as a very, very great opportunity, not just to, share my knowledge, but also to have a good conversation with you. I like having great conversations, and, I respect the fact that you are also very knowledgeable about the business. And as I said to you, I love what you're doing.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much, man. It means a lot. It means a lot. It really does. And whenever the book does come out, we got to sit down and talk about the book itself, go into it, and tell the masses where they can get it. I'm excited. I try to get as much information as I can as far as literature goes, because sometimes I find myself on these long road trips, and that's what keeps me through. The audio I'm getting into, also the audiobooks. A lot of the ones that I'm trying to get on there, not there yet, but I'm definitely getting into that because I have a lot more time for that than reading. But once that book comes out, I'll definitely get that hard copy so I can add it to my collection. And again, man, the pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Blessed love.
All right, blessed love. We link up.
Cool.
And there you have it. Thank you so much for tuning in. It has indeed been a pleasure. Please be sure to subscribe to the podcast Homegrown with G. Cole. It's available now on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and all your podcast platforms. Also, please check out the website homegrownwithgcole.com for all things homegrown. And remember, be safe, be kind, and be good to each other. My name is G. Cole, and this is Homegrown.
People enter your life for a reason, then them ways change like 4 seasons.
That's the way life is. My mama said, now watch people things go hard for mind, but the speed and meter. My mama said, don't worry about bad mind, them day a long time, them you can't get rid of. My mama said, all when you do good for enough for them, and have them as a friend, them no member. She tell me say, no play evil, no tricks, them are cooler than 3 December. So remember, keep your eyes open, don't rely on friends, cause you were born by yourself. It's not about being selfish, no ego. Most of them ain't with you, so how can I trust people when I can't trust myself? Can't miss the mothers killing daughters, fathers killing sons. World in a danger and the ending soon come. Oh, them say I love make the world go round. I mean not see nobody on the earth I show none. Me see friends allowed friends for nothing. Nation a fight nation with bombs and guns. Oh, me be trust strangers when leave a family and friends have things I say half of them tongue. Keep your eyes open, don't rely on friends, cause you were born by yourself. It's not about being selfish, no ego. Most of them ain't with you, so how can I trust people when I can't trust myself? People enter your life for a reason, then them ways change like 4 seasons. That's the way life is. My mama said, this world is a struggle and a cycle, be careful.
And that one is IKEA with a song called Keep Your Eyes Open. Again, on our featured rhythm, The Change Rhythm by Andre Roots, Soundbank Music, and Harmonix Group. Jadil, brother, big up yourself. This one's a boom rhythm. I really like it. I really like it.
Nakikinika sa música, Homegrown with G. Cole.
Estás escuchando Homegrown con G. Cole.
您现在正在收听的是 Homegrown with G. Cole.
You're listening to Homegrown with G. Cole.
Remember, all the music played here on the podcast Homegrown with G. Cole is available on iTunes, Spotify, and all your digital retailers. Please support the artists.